Hi, so this is a quick look at cyberbullying and how it pertains to us here at Centralia. What is cyberbullying? Cyberbullying is the repeated use of technology to harass, humiliate, or threaten. This screen shows some common types of cyberbullying. We have mean comments, which are the most prevalent, and these can be anything from screenshots of pictures with comments that go to a group chat. They can be purposely trying to annoy someone with a comment or even an emoji or a like on something. They can also include online gaming. There are many games that students know how to either play against each other or on teams. And even though we first think of this as being at home with a headset on your Xbox, this can very much also include comments in a classroom when students are playing kind of competitive fun games that you need to watch out for. Online rumors are also a common type of cyberbullying, where something is shared purposely to mock or tell an untruth about a person. And finally, sexual remarks, and these can fall into the category of photographs, comments. They can be things about gender or sexual preferences, things like that, that can be damaging to a student. This graphic shows that in a poll of 20,000 students, that there were 70% of the students who said that at some point someone had spread a rumor about them online, which I think is scary and also not surprising. Definitely something we need to pay attention to. As far as policies and laws go, as you read through some of the court cases that have come about due to cyberbullying, a lot of them are conversations based on the bullying behavior and the First Amendment rights of free expression. And in general, the courts will uphold free expression for students. The exception is going to be when the behavior affects one of these four areas, either disrupting the learning student of another. So this is a case where this could be something that is done out of school time, a text or a picture or a post that is damaging, that was done at night on a student's own personal device. However, it affects the learning of that student the next day because of reactions and behaviors at school. That is an action that is liable for discipline. Interfering with the educational process or school discipline, I feel like this relates there, that whether it happens in school or out of school, you cannot mess with the educational process of another student. Using school-owned technology to harass, so even done at school, done on a school bus, done if they're using their school Chromebook or a school computer, that is definitely wrong. And also threatening, anytime you threaten another student, obviously it is subject to discipline. The cell phone information is kind of interesting. The Department of Ed did a survey, and they were looking at increased cyberbullying between 2010 and 2016, when there was a significant increase in students that were carrying cell phones. And what they found was, yes, in fact, the cyberbullying did increase daily and weekly, monthly, and even occasionally. I half suspect that's partly because there were just more devices out there. Because interestingly enough, those trends were not dependent on whether a school allowed cell phones or not. So there wasn't a difference necessarily, a higher rate in schools that banned cell phones or schools that allowed cell phones. So it wasn't necessarily the school policy on cell phones, just the cell phones themselves creating increased opportunities for cyberbullying. Here at 380, we have a couple of places where our policies are available to check out. In Section J of our student school board policies, you will find the acceptable use of technology. It clearly outlines online behavior expectations. It is signed by parents and students annually and available at USD3D.com under board policies if you want to double check that. Also, the signed ones are on file in the office. The second place, there is some excellent information for us and for students and for families, is in the parent-student handbook. Pages 8 through 11 is all on the bullying policy. Cyberbullying and in-person bullying, but bullying is bullying. It is very explicit. It does explicitly talk about cyberbullying. It complies with all of our local, state, and federal laws. It's available at USD3D.com under the Parents tab in that Parent and Student Handbook. On this slide, you will see some impacts on self-esteem and mental health of being cyberbullied. You'll notice as you work your way down, you see social anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, all the way down to self-harming and deleting or changing social media accounts, disordered eating, drug abuse. So all of those things that there's not a single good thing on there. And I feel like these are things that we see in our students sometimes, and also things that we can be attentive to as potential warning signs of something going wrong. Other things we can look for in our students, we have, we're so small, we're with our kids all the time, and we see them in lots of different places. You can look for a change in emotional state. Are they depressed? Are they distracted? A change in habits. Are they using the restrooms at a different time? Are they doing different activities at recess or on their breaks? Is there a change in friend group? Do they eat lunch with different people or hang out in the gym after lunch with different people? Do you hear talk? Because even when we're not part of a conversation, we're close enough, just in proximity, that you might hear words like drama, haters. You might hear things that signify that there's a problem with students. What can students do? So here are 6 things we can teach our students to do or pay attention to. First, they can report. We need to teach them to report to teachers, report to parents, report to, sometimes if you're on an app or a device, you can actually report behavior right through that device. If the student is not the subject of the bullying, things they can do is show care to their friend who is, and kind of help rally around them and help support them through this process. You can collect evidence. Teach kids that if they get a message or a photo, or they see something that they know is inappropriate, whether it's geared towards them or a student that they want to report, to screenshot that to capture the evidence. The fourth thing on the bottom row there is, if you feel like it's a situation, we can teach kids literally to just tell them, stop what you're doing. Whether it works or not, it's always a good first place to try. And we need to teach them to be very careful not to join in. That being a bystander, laughing, thumbs upping, acknowledging those kinds of posts or texts or whatever does make you part of the problem. And then, of course, teach kids that if they are in a situation where doing those things makes them feel unsafe, they need to step away and go back to that reporting phase. This, of course, is something we all know. This is the poster that we all have in our classrooms, in our hallways. We read it on the first day of school assembly. It is our school expectations. And yet, if you're like me, it's there and we look at it. And in my room, I don't know that we really read it a lot. We read it when we're talking at the beginning of the year. And then other than that, the kids go, oh yeah, that's how you spell panther. But all of these things we've talked about so far, if we would study this and use this in our classrooms, if you take a look under the P, it says on there to follow the safety rules and the rules of conduct. Under R for respect, it says to accept differences and not bully others and use technology and social media in an appropriate manner. Under the integrity, under I, it says help others, lead by example, help students who are bullied. And if you know that someone's bullied, tell an adult. Under determination, it says to listen and learn and follow directions and overcome difficulties. And under E for excellence, it says to be a team player. So all these things we are talking about that are important for us and our relationships with our students in our building are right here, if we give this the due attention that it needs. A couple other things as a staff that are important for us to think about and talk about, and maybe discuss, is knowing our school policy, not just where it is, but actually reading and understanding and making sure if we have questions that we're very clear on policy. That will help us with students and parents and just our own personal knowledge. Making sure we keep a positive and safe classroom and school culture. Again, that goes back to that poster, I think, which was right there hanging on my classroom wall. Using restorative justice discipline policies and making sure that the consequences are set in a way that makes sense with the infraction. So if it was something that involved a statement, there is a conversation and maybe a written apology, as opposed to missing recess. That's a very bad example, but you get my drift. Like the punishment fits the crime and in a way, but also heals the relationship. And that over time can help incidences of bullying go down. And finally, teaching digital citizenship. I know a lot of us talk about doing these things in our classroom, but I think it is maybe time for us, with the amount of technology we're using, to be very serious about maybe a school-wide implementation of a digital citizenship program so that we can have common terms, common language, common practices throughout the entire building. A couple additional resources that I think are very handy. We have Common Sense Education, which provides a K-12 digital citizenship curriculum. We have USD, which are standards and lessons for digital literacy. There is the Learning for Justice website that has teaching tolerance, which includes bullying lessons and digital literacy lessons. And then Media Smarts, which comes out of Canada, but they have an entire K-12 digital media and literacy program. So there's a lot of things out there we could use if we wanted to have that discussion together. These are a slew of resources that went into this presentation for you today. And also thanks to Canva for helping me create this. And thanks to you. I love working in this building, and I love and respect you as a staff. And we all know how we feel about our kiddos that come in every day. So a little more understanding of what cyberbullying looks like and maybe things that we can come together and do can only make our Panther family stronger. Thank you.